Hello and welcome everybody. Great to see all of you in today's session. I can see already we have an active chat. Nice to see this. It's end of August. This means we're approaching the end of the holiday season, or for others it might be the workation season. And even though it's end of August, we have a lot of participants. So I see right now we have around 79 listeners and viewers live. The count is going up as we speak. That's very nice. And I guess for a good reason, because today we talk about one of the hottest topics in HR and legal during this year. Namely, it's workations. And for a good reason. Workations is the new benefit of the future. 76% of knowledge workers want flexibility in where they work. It is the second most important benefit, after compensation, and it's often a reason why employees join companies. So before Corona, a lot of the benefits in the job ads were free coffee in the office, free fruits, maybe a subsidized gym membership. Well, I don't know about you. I don't know anyone who joined a company because of free coffee in the office, but I do know a lot of people who joined a company because of the workplace flexibility. However, it is a very new topic for everyone, new topic for employees, a new topic for companies, for regulators, etc. And I'm also very interested in all of you today, to the viewers where we stand today, how they are dealing with it. So I would like to start a short poll now, and that I'm launching now. And I would like to ask all of you if you have already today an official company policy for temporary work from abroad. So do you allow workations? So I'm going to start the poll in a second. I'm going to add an answer option. So the question you can see it right now. Do you have an official company policy for temporary work from abroad? So a lot of companies, yes, they have a policy. There's a reason that they actively advertise it, right? So you can see it either in your SharePoint, your Confluence, maybe you have it in your job descriptions. Maybe you have a policy, but you don't allow temporary work from abroad. And I know a lot of companies, they don't have a company policy and they kind of deal with it. And I also already see the votes coming in. So it's nice, around half of the viewers, they have a policy that allows it, very cool. We have around half of the viewers who deal with it as it goes. It's nice to see this. Very interesting. And this is what we see here as a result. This is also what we see right in the business in the daily base. So we see a lot of pioneers. Luckily, two of the biggest pioneers we have in our discussion round today. So IU and Enpal. So we can ask them questions directly, but we also see other big names in the industry. So for example, Airbnb announced that they allow remote work. And just after the announcement, 800,000 people flooded their career page. So you can see that allowing workations, allowing temporary work from abroad is a very good benefit to attract new talents. On the other side, Spotify was also one of the first companies to allow work from abroad, temporary work from abroad. Now they analyze the results and they see that employee churn significantly reduced. So it's also a great tool to improve employee retention. And we even see companies in more conservative, more traditional industry also allowing temporary work from abroad. And then we have on the other side a lot of companies who was lagging behind, who took a different route. Most prominent name is Apple. So Tim Cook, the CEO, just announced employees have to go back to the office 3 days a week, starting in September. I'm not sure if you followed the news, but a lot of employees quit their jobs. Now employees have started a petition. They don't want to go back to work, so they need to deal with it. And we even see big banks, for example, Credit Suisse, Deutsche Bank, they're very afraid of compliance risks, not without a good reason. And they even install software on the computer of employees to track their locations, to make sure they don't work from abroad. And we also see from the survey, from the poll that we launched, a lot of companies are kind of in between, right? So they kind of deal with it, but they don't have an official policy yet. So they need to decide, are they going to allow it or are they not going to allow it? And today we want to discuss this topic with all of you. And I see we have an active chat, which is very nice. We also want to keep it kind of interactive. So if you have questions about this, about our speakers, you can directly ask a question in the Ask a Question box. So if you have any topic that you would like to discuss, please bring it up here. Other people can then also upvote or downvote it, and then we can keep it a little bit more interactive. But before we get into it, for those who don't know yet, this product showcase is sponsored by Workmotion. That's where I work. We are a company that supports other companies in managing employees from work to work from abroad. We do this with 3 different products. So we have Work Global, Work Direct, and WorkFlex. With Work Global and Work Direct, we help companies to permanently hire people from abroad. And with WorkFlex, which is the main topic of today, we support companies in temporary work from abroad. So we are headquartered in Berlin, but we are specialists in all the strictly regulated markets across Europe. We have over 300 employees, and what's unique about us, we are fully flexible. So we work from anywhere and at any time. But I think much more exciting today are our guests, and I'm really happy that we have now Yitzke and Rabea who are joining us today, because the 2 of them, they have been early movers with Workations at their companies. Both of them use WorkFlex at their organization, and they would like to share their experiences. And what's interesting is Yitzke and Rabea, both of them deal with WorkFlex in the day-to-day business. So they deal with the software, they deal with the employees. So I would like to have a short round of introduction. Maybe Yitzke, we can start with you. What do you do, and what does IU do?
Yes, of course. So to quickly introduce myself, I'm Yitzke. I work at IU International University as the Specialist International Payroll Management. So on a daily basis, I indeed handle the WorkFlex requests that we have at IU in the university. We are a German-based university that offers state-accredited online learning. So we try to offer full flexibility to students, like part-time, full-time, online, or on campus. We are currently with more than 85,000 students, one of the biggest in Germany. And we've also been growing our employees, and we currently have around 3,600 employees. So we are constantly growing. And I think with WorkFlex, this might be one of the reasons for this growth.
Amazing. Yitzke, since when are you using WorkFlex at IU?
So we went live, I think, end of January, beginning of February, that we fully communicated to our employees and that we went live with the benefit.
Very nice. Were you already able to use the WorkFlex benefits yourself? Are you going to?
Yes, indeed. I am one of the more frequent users myself, I would say, as I am originally from Belgium, working in Germany. I sometimes use it, of course, to visit my family back home. And maybe soon, maybe even more international, I would try to go to India, as I would like to attend a wedding there. And hopefully I can use WorkFlex as well to attend this one.
Nice, lovely. Thanks for the introduction. Over to you, Rabea. What do you do at Enpal, and what does Enpal do?
Yeah, thanks. And hi, everyone. I'm Rabea. I work as an HR operations manager at Enpal. Enpal is founded in 2017 and offers a rental model for solar power systems. In Germany, our headquarters is in Berlin, but we do have the teams who install the panels on the clients' roofs all over Germany so far. And as an HR operations manager, I support our employees and team leads with their day-to-day HR topics, and also with everything WorkFlex regarding, and I support them with their workation planning.
Nice, very cool. So you support the employees. Were you also able to use WorkFlex yourself already?
Not yet. So I started at Enpal in May. So I did not use it myself yet, but I'm planning to do it this year, maybe beginning of next year as well.
Nice, very cool. So thanks for the intro. So to all of you, Yitzke and Rabea, they have been using WorkFlex for a couple of months now. So if you have any questions to them, please use the ask a question box, and then we can take it also in the chat. So as you know, today we're going to talk about WorkFlex. This will be our agenda for today. So we'll give you, for those who don't know yet what WorkFlex is, a quick introduction. But then the main part is we're going to have a panel discussion about the experience with WorkFlex in the past months. And then we close it off with a little software demo. So I will show the software to you for those who are interested. And then we will finish on time around 11:45. So to get into it, to get it started, a lot of companies want to allow work from abroad. I see many participants here, they are not yet sure. They kind of deal with it on the go. So probably you're also experiencing some of the problems. So here, this slide kind of shows the problems that companies have when officially allowing work from abroad. So that means bringing it into the job descriptions, meaning have a company policy. And usually the biggest topic is compliance. It can be very complex, and especially because compliance is different in every country. So Spain is different than the UK, again, different from France, and outside of Europe, it's even more complex. And the big topics are usually permanent establishment, or wage tax, which is corporate tax liability, but there can also be topics around social security, labor law, and work entitlement. Another one is health insurance coverage, especially outside of the European Union, internal approval flows that companies need to deal with, relevant documents. So for those who don't know, by law, you need to request an A1 certificate for your employees if they want to work from abroad, and lastly, an audit trail. So all of this companies need to handle. And WorkFlex, WorkFlex is the solution from WorkMotion about this. So it's a very easy to use software tool that we sell to companies that can be used then by employees, managers, and then HR admins to officially allow Workation. So we take care of all the problems described before. We manage the compliance risks, we provide travel insurance, and we automate all the workflow. So it's an all-in-one solution. So this is a quick intro. We will show you the software later, but I think much more interesting is what our panelists, the users of WorkFlex have to say about this. So again, if you have any questions, I already see a few, which is very nice. Put it in the ask a question box, but we will kick it off. Maybe to you first, Jitzke. And so you implemented WorkFlex end of January, you said. What are the guidelines? What are the conditions of which you allow employees to WorkFlex?
So when we first went live with the benefit, we didn't want to impose too many restrictions in advance. So we started out pretty flexible and open. We didn't put any timeline from the start or any proper conditions as we went live. It was more like once it happened or situations came up that we discussed this depending on the situation and on the assessment. So of course, WorkFlex started with it's possible for up to 6 months. So we would allow employees to submit it up to 6 months. Of course, we need the pre-approval from the manager. So I think that would be the first condition that we have at IU, is that managers need to pre-approve these requests before they are able to go abroad. Of course, then afterwards, based on the assessment, there might be different conditions. So in the assessment, you have different dimensions for, like Patrick said, like social security, labor law, taxes, and visa. At IU, we are more strict toward the visa, as this is more black and white, I would say, than the other dimensions. For example, some countries allow up to 90 days of paid activity without a visa. So then it's pretty clear for us where we allow this based on the visa conditions. But we're more flexible towards social security. Of course, you can get like the A1 certificates. And then in case there are no social security certificates that can be obtained, we have an internal policy at IU where we have our own guidelines that we allow it up to 3 months without a certificate if it's for travel reasons or just like, just holidays. If it's for more personal reasons, like, you want to visit your family, there's a more urgent reason, then we allow it up to 4 months without this travel insurance, the health insurance certificate. So I think we're still pretty flexible. we get more conditions based on the situation, and we try to avoid any real restrictions from the start.
Nice, great to hear. So in general, I hear that IU employees can work from abroad up to the maximum of 6 months, but then sometimes if there's a high risk assessment or medium risk assessment, the situation may change depending on the risks involved.
Yes, indeed.
And I hear the condition that always needs to apply, the manager of the employee needs to approve the request. Rabea, how is this dealt with at Enpal?
Yeah, at Enpal, we allow our employees at the moment up to 4 weeks a year workation. We also have as the main reason or decision is the manager. So if a manager thinks it's okay for the team that someone goes abroad, then we are fine with that. So that needs to be approved first. We also have a look at the time zones. Also to make sure that the collaboration within the team still works if someone works from abroad. And then we basically rely on the risk assessment from WorkFlex. If there's a medium risk, we have a look into the personal situation, as Jiske already stated before, right? But if there's no main reason, we don't allow medium risks.
Great, fantastic. So very similar. Maybe to advance this. So for those who are listening, this is the typical flow that just Jiske and Enpal described. That's what most companies do. So an employee requests work from abroad, and the manager needs to either approve or decline depending on various conditions. So it also may depend in the department. So for example, in sales, it's very important to work in the same time zone, while maybe in engineering, the managers are more flexible. And then there's a risk assessment. I see some questions already around this. There's a risk assessment taking place. And then there will be a decision being taken. I know from our statistics, depends by company, around 80 to 95% of the employee requests are usually approved. Jiske, do you know how this is approximately at IU?
Yeah, I think we are indeed like a bit above the 90% that does get approved. I think we allow quite some requests.
Okay, great to hear. So that's already very flexible. How is this at Enpal?
Yeah, for us, it's basically the same. So if the risk assessment says it's a low risk, then we approve the requests.
Fantastic. I already see one question that's relevant to this in the Ask a Question box. So feel free to ask any questions. Also to anyone else, you can upvote the questions, so then it helps us to prioritize a little bit. But Victoria is asking, how do you make sure people are not upset in case a request is rejected? So Jiske, maybe to you again, you said like over 90% of the cases are accepted. Well, this is great, but this also means a few cases are not accepted. So first of all, what are the main reasons why a case is not accepted? Then how do employees react to this?
Yes, I think the main reasons would be, like I said before, we're more strict on visa requirements. Of course, this is also more administrative work. It's sometimes harder for employees to get this visa, more costly. And of course, what is related to that is also the duration. Like I said, we allow up to 6 months, but this is still dependent on the full risk assessment. So of course, the longer the period, we see that it will be more risk and that we will have to reject those cases. Of course, in case of a rejection, how we handle those internally is to avoid, bad feelings from employees, is also reach out to the employee personally from our side to either discuss with them if they would be more flexible to go for a shorter period in time, if that would help for the assessment, or just see what their situation is exactly, why they want to go, and how we can help in that situation, so that they also feel that there's some personal help from our side and that we are pro workation, but just like also explain why it is not possible in that specific case.
Yeah, great to hear. How is this? How do you deal with it, Rabea, when you can't allow a request?
Yeah, basically exactly the same as Jiske just told, right? If we have to decline a request, we always give the reasons for that. Most declined requests in a low risks is that the duration was requested for too long, so it's more than 4 weeks. And then most of the employees just start a new request with a shorter period of time, and then we can allow that. So that is basically the main reason for us to reject. But of course, we always talk to the employees and see what factors can be changed so we can allow it still.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. So we commonly see to deal with the request in this way. The good news is also the large majority of requests are approved, or even if something is declined, maybe a shorter trip or to a different destination country, then it's possible. So in general, maybe asking to you, Jitzke, again, you went live end of January. So before this, employees did not yet know about this benefit, then you announced it. So first of all, how did you communicate this when WorkFlex was launched at IU?
So the first way we communicate this was we have a monthly internal meeting or webinar for all of our employees that is organized by the CEO and HR to give like updates on like the current situation and new benefits. So of course, this was the perfect opportunity for us to announce this new benefit. So this was like the first announcement, and then we later on also announced it in our newsletter that is sent out via email, in which we included an article and all of the more information we posted on our SharePoint that can be used by all of our employees.
Yeah, great. And so how was then the reaction by the employees? Was it positive, or did also some negative comments? How was the vibe after the announcement?
I think mostly, of course, it was very positive. I received a lot of questions from people that like heard it via other colleagues that reached out to me like, hey, how do we register? Where can I go? How long can I go? A lot of questions. I think that only shows like the interest in Workation and WorkFlex and the positive impact. There was a lot of good reactions on the article as well. So yeah, I think overall a very positive reaction from all employees.
Great, fantastic. Nice to hear. So I think what would also be interesting to our viewers is, if I can find the right slide. So maybe Rabea, to you, could you describe like in the day-to-day business? I mean, you work with WorkFlex every week. How does WorkFlex work? What is also automated? Where do you still need to jump in and manually?
Well, basically everything is automated by WorkFlex. The only thing we do have to do manually is the manager's approval and the final approval from HR. So that's 2 mouse clicks, and the rest is automated by the tool. So that's for us pretty easy to use, because employees just type in all their information regarding their trip. They start a request. Then the manager sees the request, can check the factors, and then can give his or her approval. And the same applies for HR. So the risk assessment is all done by WorkFlex, by the tool. We can check into all the risk topics for the certain trip, right? And can get all the information we need within the tool, and then decide if we allow it or not.
Great. Maybe directly to this, Rabea, again, I see one question here from the viewers. Is the admin, so this would be, in this case, you able to see the assessment before making the final decision? How does this work? When do you get the assessment?
Yeah, we see the assessment as the employee starts the request, right? And then we can check all the details that the employee has typed in, but we can also see the risk assessment, which is done by WorkFlex. So there's a like green, yellow, and red mark for the request. If it's green, all the boxes are checked. The yellow color implicates a medium risk, And then that's where we could check the risk status of the different topics, right? And WorkFlex gives us all the information where there might be a risk for us as an employer or for the employee in the country abroad.
Great, thanks for answering the question to Victoria. Over to you, Jitske. How do you use WorkFlex in the day-to-day business?
So yes, I think in the majority of cases, me as HR am not directly involved anymore because it's automated by Workmotion. So indeed, it starts with, like Rabia said, the employee submits the request and the manager gets an email to approve the request or not. Then in the majority of the cases, it is indeed a green light in which we automatically approve the request. So me as HR, I'm not included. I can, of course, access the assessment if needed and all the information, but I do not need to get involved any further. Then for medium risk assessments, I do receive the email automatically via the portal to further review the situation. So then I can check the risk assessment on the platform, and I can either get back to the employee directly for some more clarifications about the situation and also reach out to the Workmotion support team to either further investigate the situation or ask them questions about the assessment if I need some further information about why a certain situation is more of a high risk. So in that, you get really support in how to review those situations if you get involved. But of course, in the majority of cases, like I said, it's green light, and we as HR are not even further involved anymore.
Okay, great to hear. So I see some similarities between Jitske, you, and also Rabea. So the large majority of workflows in case are automated, but then in some of the cases where we have identified a risk, you still take some manual action and check it. And I also see now a lot of questions around this risk assessment. Maybe to shortly explain this, and later I can also show it in the software. So in the risk assessment, we do check from the WorkFlex side, are there any compliance risks for the companies? And this then depends on the trip duration, on the destination country. It also depends on the nationality of the employee. So for example, as a European national, you have different rights to work than somebody, for example, working from India. So there can be positives and negatives. But there are also a lot of other factors that we do take into account for them. And this risk assessment, then it helps companies to either allow it or to reject a case. Overall, then I think we had one other questions that received 7 upvotes. And maybe also to shortly bring this in. So the question is, how do we deal with health insurance abroad? So this has been one of the most asked questions in the last months. So initially we launched WorkFlex without health insurance, but now what we do, we also offer health insurance. So that means when employees go abroad, we automatically insure them to make sure they are covered and they know an employer liability. All right, so I hope I could answer some of the questions. Also be aware, I see a lot of open questions, so please always ask a question, then we can deal with it. All the questions that we can't directly answer in the chat, we will try to get back to you then also after the webinar. What I'm interested in is also, I think we don't have a slide for this, but that's okay. Maybe to you, Jitske. I mean, you decided for WorkFlex to automate this to improve your employer branding. So now looking back, how has WorkFlex impacted your employer branding?
Well, like I said in the beginning, I think like the growth that we have recently is also related that we are pretty flexible, not only towards students, but also towards our employees. I think the WorkFlex is like one of the most flexible topics that we offer currently. And like that gives our employees also a feeling that they have the flexibility to go and work like how they want personally. So like a work-life balance, I think, is very improved here. We also did like a LinkedIn post that got like a lot of positive feedback, and then a blog about it. So I think that only shows how positive it is, well, received by our employees, but also like externally to IU.
Yeah, I actually saw this LinkedIn post and I also checked it this morning. So I checked your LinkedIn page and sorted by the top posts. So we have seen one post around a month ago, right, from IU also posting about this. What I at least personally liked a lot, this received a lot of attention, so a lot of likes, and we saw a lot of shares, right? Also from employees at IU. Also funny, I was just scrolling through LinkedIn before this meeting. I also saw some of your employees also post about like trips and images from their Workation. So this is very nice. So this is a very positive impact in employer branding. How's this at Enpal, Rabia?
Yeah, I think we are not communicating it during our recruiting process. So we only communicate it in our onboarding sessions for employees who already work with Enpal. But that's basically a top topic, right? We do have other benefits at Enpal, but that one, WorkFlex and the whole topic around workations always generates the most questions from new starters and also from current employees. So that's a big topic, and I think it's even more interesting for the future as we also recruit from countries abroad, right? I mean, Jiske, you are a very good example for that. If you want to visit your family abroad, it's easier with those kind of flexible possibilities, right?
Definitely.
Nice. So I often hear from people or they fear a lot of people from HR when employees work from abroad on Workation, the productivity is significantly decreased. So they're imagining people just sitting at the pool, not working. At IU, did you ever run into any problems that you saw in productivity decrease, etc.?
So far, I did not see any any situations like this. I think our manager are also pretty pro Workation. There's not a lot of managers that do not approve requests or like reject requests because of this, that they think that employees would work less. What I do notice though is that a lot of employees who do submit a request do like a part-time holiday, part-time Workation. So they already indicate in their request that they will only work like 40% of their time, and the rest they would take their holidays. So I think only that also already helps the employees to put their mindset to, okay, I also have holiday during that time, so I can also work when I have to, because you do have the balance there.
This is a very interesting point of view. Now, this has become more and more relevant, right? Should you mix holiday with working from abroad? So here from Jiske, it's recommended to either work or either be on holiday to not mix it too much. How is this at Enpal? Did you run into any productivity problems when employees work from abroad?
No, not to our knowledge. And as Jiske already said, we also have our manager teams that they are very supportive with them working abroad for their team members. So that's basically not a problem. So it's even if you know you can work abroad as an employee, you're more motivated to work from another country as well as from Germany or from home, because you're able to have more flexibility, and that's there's no decrease in the workload or anything like that.
Okay, great. So thanks for this. We will review some questions because I quickly I see a lot of questions also around product. And so for those who are interested, I want to spend like 5 or 6 minutes on the product, so to show it to you, and then we come back with some closing questions. And I will actually share my screen now so I can show you the software. So as all of you know, WorkFlex is a software solution that can be used by companies to allow work from abroad, to manage it, and especially also the compliance risk. We talked a lot about this. And it's a software that can be then used by the employees, by the managers, but then also from the admins. And usually what happens when we implement WorkFlex, this is then announced, and employees can register to the WorkFlex software. Already did this before. So right now what you can see is the account of me, Patrick, as an employee. So already registered, and I had to, when I typed in some information, so for example, my name, my date of birth, so some information that is relevant for us in the risk assessments later, but also then if we apply for documents, so for example, the A1 certificate or an insurance. And directly after I registered, I can already see where I can likely work from. So for example, for me, I have a German nationality, so I find it usually very easy to work from other European countries. However, this might differ, right? So for some employees, also depending on the nationality and some other factors and how senior they are in the company, this may be different. So this is a personalized dashboard, and it shows in some countries, also some countries for obvious reasons are currently not possible because they're under UN sanctions. So this list constantly updates this within Europe, and then employees can also request to work from outside Europe. So you have this initial assessment as an employee, so you already know more or less where you can go to. But however, we want to make sure there's no employer liability. So we then do a more detailed flow. So let's say if I want to work from Spain, they can request as an employee to work from Spain and have to answer around 10 questions. So I will be asked how long do I want to work in Spain. So let's say I want to work from the 1st until the 10th of September. I will be working, then it's calculating the number of working days. So in this example, there will be 7 working days. And I can also adapt this. Maybe I want to take some of these days in a holiday. Then I will be asked whether there's a business reason for international stay in Spain. This is very important because WorkFlex is a solution for workations or visiting family abroad, not for business stay. So that's why we ask for this. We ask which place I will be working from. Again, this has an impact on the compliance. This has a corporate tax liability, so there are no right or wrong answers, but it does have an impact. And you see some of the questions we ask to see where the center of living is. That's why we also ask currently file taxes in Spain. I'm planning to negotiate conclude contracts on behalf of the company. If my partner, spouse, or children live in Spain, have a bank account in Spain. So these questions, again, we need to see where's my center of living, which has then a corporate tax implication. And of course, we also check, have I already been in Spain within the last 12 months? Because, well, in general, anything up to 6 months can be possible, but also depends. It's a case by case. In some cases, only 3 months is possible, only 1 month. Also depends on the destination country, depends on my profile, my nationality, etc. So we do track this in the system but usually we see when this is implemented at companies, we don't have the full data, so we still ask about this. So in my case, I've already been to Spain for 4 weeks, and I now confirm the conditions and the company policy, and I do have my request, which is now being in progress. So this is the experience from the employee. Then it takes around 2 to 3 days because now, at least in this setup, the manager needs to approve. There will be a more detailed risk assessment that will be done, and then when my trip is approved, we as WorkFlex take care of the A1 certificate, of insurance, etc. So this is how it looks like from the employee perspective. From the HR admin perspective, so this is what Jitzke and Rabea deal with on a day-to-day business. They then see in their overview all the requests from employees. So right now he can see the trip, Patrick, Germany to Spain, 7 days, currently in progress. So within the next hours, there will be a compliance assessment uploaded, more in detail, and then it can be improved. And later on, you also see the insurance certification, the A1 certificate, employee instructions, etc. So this is how the software works. This is a very high-level overview. Anyone who's interested more in depth how the software works, you can schedule a demo with us. But I would like to go back to the presentation and maybe ask you, Jitzke, in Rabea. So, work from abroad, it's a very new topic. So the first time we talked with IU and Enpal about it was last year around November, December. We then implemented Enpal in December, IU end of January. So we made a little bit of experience, but where do you see this journey going? Where do you see work from abroad in the future? Maybe to you first, Rabea?
Yeah, as I already said before, I think we started it already half a year ago, but it's getting a bigger and bigger topic, right? We started it right after the COVID period, the long period, and I think at least since 2 years working in the home office, I think it's getting more relevant for all employers. All over the world, because we experience now that we can work outside the office, and we also learned how to collaborate in our teams remotely, right? And that, yeah, employees, team leads, everyone got used to that model. So I think it's getting even more relevant in the future, and yeah, maybe also with working more international and hiring from all over the world. It's I think there's no way we will go back to only working in the office or only working from Germany, as we are not a remote first company, but we still need that flexibility. It's asked by the employees, and there's, for us as an employer, there's so far no experience for us that would give us a reason to stop that model.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. Yitzke, from your personal point of view, where do you see this journey going?
Yeah, I agree with Rabea. I think it's, there's a very high demand, and the demand will only get higher. And actually, I think not only, employers will have to adhere to this demand, like they will have to allow it at some point. I think you also see a tendency from countries, because the reason we have this assessment is that the regulations are not very aligned yet. But you do say that there is more and more nomad visas for different countries. So it is a tendency that you see in all aspects of the work life.
Great. Thanks for sharing. So to all the viewers that are like watching right now, Yitzke, what would you recommend to them if they want to officially advertise temporary work from abroad? What guidelines would you give?
I think, of course, the first step would be like to decide internally how flexible you want to be, and communicate this clearly to your employees, that they know what they can expect, that there's no, problems afterwards, that they expected more, but also like communicate it clear enough that it is a benefit that you offer, that you do allow it, because it is important as an employer to allow it. I think just set clear expectations and have your own guidelines how you allow this.
Yeah, this makes a lot of sense to have the guidelines. Rabea, what would you recommend to the viewers today?
Yeah, I fully agree with Yitzke. I think expectation management in this regard is the main topic, right? I mean, for us at Enpal, we also have people who install solar panels on rooftops within Germany, so they will never be able to work from another country, at least as we're still operating only in Germany. So, right, also here within our company, we have whole teams who will never be able to use that product, right? And to communicate that very transparent, and to be very open with that topic, and have with this regard a good expectation management towards all the teams in the company, I think is really important.
Great. Thanks so much for sharing, Yitzke and Rabea. It has been an absolute pleasure to have you here. So big thanks for sharing your experiences, and thanks to all the viewers, all of your questions. So I see a lot of questions are still answered. We will follow up with all the questions. And also to all of you who are interested in hearing more about WorkFlex, feel free to schedule a free demo with one of our experts, so we can give you a more in-depth view, also discuss your personal needs. But with this, I would like to finish here on time. Thanks, Rabea and Yitzke. It has been great. And to everybody, have a very nice day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
Bye.